I'm Mrs. Franklin, and I teach government at West High School, and this is KCS at Home Summer Edition. This is 10th grade U.S. Government and Civics, and today we're going to be working through task number 6, which is about Tennessee state and local government. If this video is hard to understand, you can turn on closed captions if available, adjust the playback speed to slow down the video. Both of these first options are available in the settings part of this video. You could also consider watching short clips, then pause, listen, and watch again. Or ask someone in your home to watch the video with you. Stop frequently to talk to your partner about what you heard and understood. Today, you will need your KCS at Home Tennessee State and Local Government Assignment page, which is task number 6 on the KCS at Home website, and a piece of notebook paper. First, you should read through the assignment and make sure you can access all of the links. Here, you can see all of the standards for the Tennessee State and Local Government module. In this assignment, we're not going to talk about Tennessee specifically, but all of the content we will discuss, you can apply to the state of Tennessee. We'll be talking about the different types of governments within a state and local system. The first thing we'll do is we'll read an article about state power in our federal system. Then you will complete 2 activities, one about state and national government power, and another about state and local government power. Then finally, you'll play a game about how to balance the power between the state and national government. By the end of this lesson, you should be able to answer this question, which is how do the structures and functions of the government in the state of Tennessee balance with the powers of the U.S. government? When you're ready, go ahead and click the first link and we'll get started. It should take you to this article. As you read, take notes on your notebook paper on what is a state, what is the difference in delegated and reserved powers, what are concurrent powers, and how do the states relate to the national government and to local governments. You'll pause this video to read and take notes, but let's look at it together first. The link should take you to the article called State Power, Got a Reservation? The beginning will talk about state powers and how states function like little countries within a larger one. Then you'll talk about delegated and reserved powers and where we find those. The next part talks about things that states cannot do. And then you'll talk about things that states have the power to do. The next section talks about the powers the state and national governments share. And the last 2 sections talk about the relationship of states to local governments and state governments to national governments. Go ahead and read the article and take notes. Pause this video, and when you're ready, come back to the video and we'll talk about it together. Welcome back. You should have learned that states are like little countries and that they can all make their own laws and have their own governments. And in the United States, the states have agreed to be united under one government while maintaining their own governments. Delegated powers belong to the national government and reserved powers belong to the states, and we find this information in the 10th Amendment of the Constitution. Powers that national and state governments share are called concurrent powers. States rely on local governments to provide services to people and to make laws, and states often rely on the national government for funding. After you've read the article and taken notes, click on the next 2 links to apply your new knowledge. To complete these activities, you can either print them out or write your answers on notebook paper. You'll pause this video to complete these activities, but let's look at them together first. The first activity is called Strike It. In this activity, you will look at the laws of the fictional state of Indiana, and you will determine which of these laws they can and cannot make. You'll draw a line through or write on your notebook paper which of these they cannot make because they are federal powers. You can compare them to the federal power cheat sheet on the next page. The next activity asks you to determine whether or not laws or ordinances are for the local governments or state governments. It also asks you to identify local government officials based on their job descriptions. Go ahead and complete these activities, and once you're finished, come back to the video and we'll go over the answers together. Pause the video to complete the activities. Welcome back. You can pause this video to check your answers or just hang out and I'll go over them with you. The keys are on this slide and the next one. The first activity, called Strike It, asks you to cross out the laws that the state of Indiana can't make because they're actually federal powers. This was an exercise in determining, if you remember, the difference in delegated, reserved, and concurrent powers. Some laws that the state of Indiana can't make are weights and measurements, that is a federal power. International relations is a federal power. The taxation one was tricky because states can levy taxes. However, they can't levy taxes against another state. So they can't do this 10% tax on goods manufactured in another state. States cannot regulate immigration or international commerce. So you had to strike out those as well. The next activity wanted you to determine if an ordinance was for a local or state government. Okay. The first one says that no one living in the area may breed livestock of any kind, and that is a local issue. The next one says that it is unlawful to turn water service on or off without approval. That is also local. 3 says every child between 6 and 16 must attend a school or be homeschooled, and that is a state issue. 4 says temporary structures such as circus tents may not be put up without approval. That is a local issue. Number 5 says a person between 16 and 18 must have a parent's permission in order to get married, and that is a state issue. 6 says it is against the law to change or destroy any sidewalks without first receiving approval, and that is a local issue. 7 says at any time between sunset and sunrise, vehicles on the road must have their headlights on, and that is a state issue. 8, it says all sidewalks, buildings, fences, signs, and other surfaces must be kept free from graffiti, and that is a local issue. 9 says elementary school begins at 8:30 a.m. and middle and high school begins at 7:30 a.m. Again, a local issue. And last, we have it is unlawful to take, injure, or harass any bird upon its nest except in agriculture, and that is a state issue. The next column asks you to identify these local officials based on their job descriptions. The first person says they keep people safe by enforcing laws, and they're the sheriff or the chief of police. The next person investigates unnatural deaths and performs autopsies, and they're the medical examiner. The next person says they estimate the value of property so it can be taxed, and they're the assessor. The next person says they lead the city government, and they are the mayor or the city manager. Number 5 says they manage public buildings and structures, and they're the engineer. 6 says I keep track of property deeds, marriage certificates, and other records, and they're the recorder or the clerk. 7 says I'm in charge of the local public education system, and they're the school superintendent. Number 8 says they help make decisions that affect the entire city or county, and they're a council member or supervisor. Number 9 says they make sure criminals are prosecuted for their crimes, and they're a prosecutor. And number 10 says they make sure the polling places and ballots work properly when it's time to vote, and they're the election supervisor. Now you're going to play a game. You'll click on the last link on the page to play Power Play. In this game, you'll coach your team in developing arguments on whether something is a state or national power. You'll make sure that you go through the instructions before you start. Pause this video to play the game, but let's look at it together first. The link will take you to this page where you'll play the Civics game Power Play. It may ask you to enable your Adobe Flash Player, so you just click in the screen to enable it. You'll click here to start a new game. If you want to turn the sound on or off, you click over here, and then during the game, you can pause at any time or reference this question mark to get help. Go ahead and pause this video to play the game and come back to the video when you're finished. Welcome back. Now that you've read your article, done your activities, and played the game, you should be able to answer this question on your notebook paper, which is how do the structures and functions of government in the state of Tennessee balance with the powers of the United States government? You can answer this question in paragraph form, or you can make a list. Keep in mind that we've been talking about states in general, but all that we've said about state governments can be applied to the state of Tennessee. Pause this video to answer this question and open it back up when you're ready. In this lesson, you should have learned that in our federal system, we have national, state, and local governments, and all these levels of government serve the same people at the same time. State and national governments each have their own powers, but there are powers that they share as well, which are called concurrent powers. Tennessee's government structure mirrors the structure of the national government with executive branch, which is the governor, legislative branch, which is the General Assembly, and judicial branches. Thanks for watching KCS at Home. Hope you're having a